Today we are doing just a quick video on the parts of speech. This is just going to be an overview. You'll have separate lessons on the individual parts of speech to learn about them in more detail. But I did want to, here at the beginning of the course, get you started on this because it's pretty foundational. There are 8 parts of speech. Some people may have been taught 9, but we teach 8 parts of speech. And every word in the English language can be placed into one of these categories. So if you were to look at a sentence, every single word in that sentence could be labeled as a part of speech. And you'll need to know the definitions of each part of speech, and that's what I'm really giving you today. I'm going to give you a few examples, but mainly focusing in on having the definitions all in one place. So you can print out those notes and have them for your reference. And you'll also need to be able to recognize the parts of speech within sentences. So 2 different ways that you'll be tested over this. And this concept will appear on every single test. The tests in this class are cumulative, especially over the major concepts. So you learn the parts of speech, they show up on test 1, test 2, and the final. So just kind of make your peace with the fact that you need to learn these and you need to learn them well. All right, so the 8 parts of speech, an overview. First of all, nouns, person, place, thing, or idea. Some examples of a noun: child, country, bagel, love. These are all, I have a person, place, thing, and idea. So words that represent those things are nouns. A pronoun takes the place of a noun. So if you want to talk about your friend, but instead of saying her name, you would say she. So these are words like he, she, they, who, some other pronouns, this, that. There are lots of other types of pronouns that we'll be talking about. There are indefinite pronouns, relative pronouns. So we'll be talking about that when we get to the lesson on pronouns in particular. Verb, all right? Verb, it's what you do, an action or a state of being. So there are 2 basic types of verbs. We'll talk about this later. But an action verb is a word like speak, stomp, swim, run. Those represent action. Whereas state of being verbs like is, are, was, were, just represent, as it says, a state of being. I am hungry. The word am there is saying that my state of being right now is hunger. An adjective modifies nouns and pronouns. All right, so now we're getting into the modifiers. And to modify just means to describe. So the examples I give here are blue, windy, sweet, and speckled. So the adjective blue may modify a word like hat, the blue hat. The adjective windy would modify a word like day. It's a windy day. It's a windy morning. The adjective sweet would probably modify a word like candy or pie. The speckled egg. So I hope you can see how all those words go with nouns or also pronouns. The other modifier that we learn about is adverbs. Adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. And adverbs are a little trickier. I think they're one of the more difficult parts of speech to recognize. So these are words like quickly, seldom, often, near. And we'll get into explaining this more when we have our actual lesson on adjectives and adverbs. You may recognize that ly, a lot of adverbs do end in ly, so that's just a little helpful hint. Preposition. Prepositions are kind of hard to define. It shows the relationship between a noun or pronoun and the rest of the sentence. So these are words like over, under, during, around. So like if you are under the table, all right, you're scared, you're hiding under the table. It shows where you are in relationship to the table. So prepositions are all about showing relationships, usually relationships of space, okay? Spatial relationships. Where are you in relationship to the refrigerator? I'm beside the fridge. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Conjunctions connect words, phrases, and clauses. So these are pretty easy to recognize, especially the basic conjunctions like and, but, or, so. We also have conjunctions like however and therefore, and subordinating conjunctions like the word because or although. And again, I have a separate lesson on conjunctions, but just so you kind of are starting to get this in your head. And then finally, interjections. An interjection expresses excitement and is usually followed by an exclamation point. So an interjection will either stand on its own or be often at the beginning or end of a sentence. So these are words like, oh, wow, hey, or like the comic book words like bam, zap. So these are pretty easy to recognize, interjections are. All right, guys, so I suggest that you take these notes, print them out, copy them down, make yourself a chart, because you need to, at the very least, memorize the definitions and have those down. And then we'll do lots of practice recognizing the different parts of speech in sentences.